There are three mistakes that nearly every man over 50 makes during self-pleasure that are systematically training his body to respond poorly, weakening his capacity for firmness, and programming his vascular system to underperform. These aren't obvious errors, they're subtle patterns that feel completely natural in the moment, but create cumulative damage to your erectile function over months and years. The troubling part is that most men have no idea they're doing anything wrong, and by the time they notice the effects, significant conditioning has already occurred. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Charlotte Hayes, and today we're going to discuss something that almost no one talks about openly, but that affects millions of men. We're exploring the specific mistakes men make during solo intimate activity that directly contribute to difficulties with firmness, reduced quality of response, and progressive decline in function. This isn't about moral judgments or outdated ideas. This is pure physiology and behavioral conditioning, and understanding these errors is essential for maintaining optimal function throughout your later decades. The first major mistake that men over 50 make is what I call rush pattern conditioning, and this is far more damaging than most people realize. Rush pattern conditioning occurs when you consistently move through self-pleasure as quickly as possible, from initial arousal to completion, without taking time for the full arousal cycle your body is designed to experience. This creates a learned pattern where your body becomes conditioned to respond to minimal stimulation and reach completion rapidly. Now, you might be thinking that quick response sounds like a good thing, but it's actually problematic for several reasons. When you consistently rush through the arousal process, you're training your nervous system to associate intimate arousal with immediate completion. This pattern doesn't stay confined to solo activity. It transfers to partnered intimacy, where quick completion is often unwanted and creates dissatisfaction for both partners. More importantly, from a physiological standpoint, rush pattern conditioning prevents the full engagement of the vascular and neurological systems involved in optimal function. Achieving maximum firmness isn't an on-off switch. It's a progressive process where blood flow increases gradually, erectile tissue becomes fully engorged, and the neurological arousal pathways reach peak activation. This full engagement requires time, typically 15 to 30 minutes of sustained arousal. When you consistently rush through in 5 or 10 minutes, you're never allowing full vascular engagement. The blood vessels in erectile tissue don't dilate completely. The tissue doesn't reach maximum engorgement. The smooth muscle doesn't fully relax. Over time, this incomplete engagement becomes your new baseline. Your body adapts to functioning at this partial capacity, and when you later want or need full engagement, you find that you can't achieve it because your vascular system has become conditioned to this limited response. Research on arousal patterns has shown that sustained arousal, maintaining high levels of arousal without immediate completion, actually improves erectile function over time. The prolonged vasodilation strengthens the vascular response. The extended neurological activation enhances nerve sensitivity and responsiveness. The longer engagement with full blood flow improves the health of erectile tissue by providing extended oxygenation and nutrient delivery. The solution to rush pattern conditioning is deliberately slowing down your self-pleasure practice. Instead of moving directly to completion, spend time building arousal gradually. Allow yourself to reach high levels of arousal, then reduce stimulation and let arousal decrease slightly before building again. Repeat this cycle multiple times over 15 to 30 minutes before allowing completion. This pattern, sometimes called edging, trains your vascular system to sustain full engagement and teaches your nervous system to maintain arousal without immediate completion. This isn't just about delaying gratification. It's about retraining your body's arousal response to function optimally. Men who practice this deliberate, extended arousal pattern consistently report improvements in their ability to achieve and maintain firmness during partnered intimacy. They report better control over timing, they report more intense experiences, and they report that their baseline function improves because they're regularly exercising their vascular system through full cycles of engagement. The second major mistake is inadequate physical engagement, and this relates to how men position themselves and what level of physical involvement they use during self-pleasure. Many men over 50 have settled into patterns where they're completely passive physically, often lying in bed or sitting in a chair with minimal body movement and minimal physical engagement beyond the specific stimulation of genital tissue. This physical passivity creates several problems. First, It fails to engage the cardiovascular system in ways that support optimal blood flow. During partnered intimate activity, your entire body is typically engaged. Your heart rate increases, your breathing deepens, your muscles activate. This full body engagement supports the cardiovascular response that delivers blood flow to all tissues, including erectile tissue. When you're completely passive during self pleasure, your cardiovascular system doesn't activate fully. Your heart rate might increase slightly, but nothing like what occurs during more physically engaged activity. This means blood flow doesn't increase throughout your body to the same degree, and the blood flow to erectile tissue is less than optimal. Second, physical passivity fails to engage the pelvic floor muscles that play crucial roles in erectile function. The pelvic floor includes the pubococcygeus muscle and other muscles that support blood flow to the penis, contribute to firmness, and are involved in the rhythmic contractions of completion. When these muscles are strong and well conditioned, they enhance function. When they're weak or poorly conditioned, function suffers. Passive self pleasure patterns don't engage these pelvic floor muscles meaningfully. You're not providing the resistance and activation that would strengthen them. Over time, this contributes to weakening of these crucial muscles, which manifests as reduced firmness quality, difficulty maintaining firmness, and weaker sensations during intimate activity. Third, physical passivity during self pleasure creates a mismatch with the physical engagement required during partnered intimacy. If you've trained your body to respond while completely passive, but partnered intimacy requires active physical engagement, you're creating a disconnect between what your body is conditioned to do and what you need it to do in real intimate situations. The solution is incorporating more physical engagement into self-pleasure practice. Instead of lying completely still, try positions that require more muscle engagement. Standing positions engage your legs and core. Positions that involve some movement of your hips engage your pelvic floor and gluteal muscles. Intentionally contracting and releasing your pelvic floor muscles during arousal strengthens these crucial muscles and improves their coordination with arousal responses. You can also incorporate cardiovascular activation by doing some light physical activity before self-pleasure to elevate your heart rate, or by incorporating movement during the practice itself. The goal is training your body to associate arousal and function with active physical engagement rather than complete passivity. Research on pelvic floor function has clearly shown that men with stronger pelvic floor muscles have better erectile function, better control over timing, and more intense experiences. Pelvic floor exercises, often called Kegel exercises for men, significantly improve function when practiced consistently. Incorporating pelvic floor engagement into self-pleasure provides both the strengthening benefits and the functional integration of training these muscles in the context where you actually need them to perform. The third major mistake, and this is perhaps the most insidious because it seems completely harmless, is excessive reliance on intense stimulation. As men age and notice that arousal and firmness don't come as easily as they once did, there's a natural tendency to increase stimulation intensity to compensate. This might mean using a firmer grip, faster movements, or more intense techniques to achieve and maintain arousal. The problem is that this creates a progressive desensitization cycle. When you consistently use high-intensity stimulation, you're raising the threshold of what's required for arousal. Your nervous system adapts to this intensity level and begins requiring it for response. Moderate or light stimulation, which should be sufficient for arousal, becomes inadequate because your nervous system has been recalibrated to respond only to intense stimulation. This desensitization has serious implications for partnered intimacy. The stimulation available during partnered activity is typically less intense than what can be created during solo activity with a firm grip and rapid movement. If your nervous system has been conditioned to require intense stimulation for response, the relatively gentler stimulation of partnered activity may be insufficient to maintain arousal and firmness. This is a common but rarely discussed mechanism behind difficulties that many men experience where they can achieve firmness during solo activity, but struggle during partnered intimacy. It's not primarily a psychological issue, though psychological factors certainly play a role. It's a conditioning issue where the nervous system has been trained to respond to a level and type of stimulation that's different from what's available during partnered activity. The desensitization also contributes to reduced sensitivity during intimate activity. When nerve endings are consistently exposed to intense stimulation, they become less responsive. This means you feel less sensation from moderate stimulation, which reduces pleasure and can make it more difficult to maintain arousal through the kinds of stimulation that occur during partnered intimacy. There's also a biomechanical concern with consistently using very firm grip or intense friction. This can cause microtrauma to penile tissue over time. While the tissue heals, repeated microtrauma can lead to changes in tissue structure, including slight scarring and reduced elasticity. These structural changes can affect the quality of firmness and the mechanical properties of erectile tissue. The solution is consciously reducing stimulation intensity during self-pleasure. This requires patience and retraining, as your initial response to lighter stimulation will be reduced arousal. This is expected. Your nervous system needs time to recalibrate to more moderate stimulation levels. Start by using a lighter touch and slower movements than you're accustomed to. If you typically use a very firm grip, consciously lighten your grip significantly. If you typically use rapid movements, slow down considerably. Initially, this will feel like insufficient stimulation. Arousal will build more slowly and might not reach the intensity you're used to. Persist with this lighter stimulation. Allow more time for arousal to build gradually. You may need 20 to 30 minutes or more initially, compared to the quicker response you get with intense stimulation. Over the course of several weeks of consistent practice with lighter stimulation, your nervous system will recalibrate. You'll find that you can achieve arousal and completion with much more moderate stimulation intensity. This recalibration has profound benefits for partnered intimacy. When your nervous system is responsive to light and moderate stimulation, the stimulation available during partnered activity becomes adequate to maintain arousal and firmness. Sensitivity increases, making intimate experiences more pleasurable. Function during partnered intimacy typically improves significantly once this recalibration has occurred. There's also a timing consideration related to all three of these mistakes. Many men over 50 have fallen into patterns of very infrequent self-pleasure, sometimes going weeks or even months between instances. This infrequency is actually problematic for maintaining function because erectile tissue needs regular blood flow for optimal health. The old adage, use it or lose it, has real physiological basis when it comes to erectile function. Erectile tissue requires regular oxygenation and nutrient delivery that comes from regular engorgement with blood. When erectile tissue goes for extended periods without this blood flow, it can undergo structural changes including reduced elasticity and increased collagen deposition that makes it less capable of achieving full firmness. Regular arousal and firmness, whether through partnered activity or self-pleasure, maintains erectile tissue health. Research has shown that men who have more frequent intimate activity, whether partnered or solo, maintain better erectile function as they age compared to men with very infrequent activity. The optimal frequency appears to be 2 to 3 times per week minimum for maintaining tissue health. This doesn't mean you need to reach completion each time. Even regular arousal and partial firmness without completion provides the blood flow benefits that maintain tissue health. Combining optimal frequency with the corrections for the 3 major mistakes creates a comprehensive approach to maintaining and even improving function through self-pleasure practice. Have regular sessions at least 2 to 3 times per week. Make these sessions extended, 15 to 30 minutes or longer, with focus on building and maintaining arousal rather than rushing to completion. Incorporate physical engagement and pelvic floor activation. Use light to moderate stimulation intensity rather than intense stimulation. This approach transforms self-pleasure from a potential contributor to declining function into a therapeutic practice that actively maintains and improves your capabilities. You're training your vascular system through regular full engagement. You're strengthening pelvic floor muscles. You're maintaining sensitivity to appropriate levels of stimulation. You're conditioning your body to sustain arousal and function optimally. It's worth addressing the psychological aspects as well, though we're focusing primarily on the physiological. The way you approach self-pleasure mentally affects your experience and the physical responses. Approaching it with presence and awareness rather than as a rushed mechanical release enhances both the immediate experience and the conditioning effects. Mindfulness practices during self-pleasure where you focus attention on physical sensations and stay present with the experience rather than distracting yourself with external stimuli, enhance neurological integration, and can improve the mind body connection involved in arousal and function. Many men use external stimuli like videos or images during self pleasure. And while this isn't inherently problematic, there can be issues if this becomes the only way you can achieve arousal. If your arousal becomes completely dependent on external visual stimulation, this creates another mismatch with partnered intimacy, where such stimulation may not be available or appropriate. Balancing practice between sessions with and without external stimuli maintains your ability to achieve arousal through physical sensation and imagination, which are the primary sources of arousal during partnered activity. Let's discuss what men can expect when they correct these three major mistakes. The timeline for noticing improvements varies, but most men see changes within 2 to 4 weeks of consistent practice using the corrected approach. Initial improvements often include better quality of firmness during the practice sessions themselves. As you extend the duration and allow full vascular engagement, you'll notice achieving fuller, more robust firmness than you may have experienced with rushed sessions. Within 4 to 6 weeks, most men notice improvements in their baseline function. Morning firmness often increases in frequency and quality. Spontaneous arousal may increase. The ease of achieving arousal improves. By 8 to 12 weeks of consistent corrected practice, improvements in partnered intimacy typically become apparent. Better firmness quality, improved ability to maintain firmness, better control over timing, and enhanced sensitivity are commonly reported. The key is consistency and patience. You're retraining patterns that may have been established over years or decades. The conditioning won't change overnight, but with persistent practice using these corrected approaches, meaningful improvements occur. It's also important to recognize that these practices complement other interventions for supporting function. Correcting self-pleasure mistakes works synergistically with nutritional strategies, appropriate supplementation if needed, regular physical activity, and stress management to create comprehensive support for optimal function. Thanks for watching today. If you found this valuable, please subscribe for more evidence-based strategies for maintaining health and function. Until next time, this is Dr. Charlotte Hayes reminding you that how you practice in private directly shapes your capabilities in all contexts.